I'm Jeff Ellington, and I'm running for State Representative District 62. It goes back with my personal experience with my family members. I had a brother who had schizophrenia right out of high school, so I had to try to learn how to cope with that situation. And back years ago, I was on the Monroe County Council for 8 years, and while I was on there, I was also a member of the Board of Directors for Center for Behavioral Health, which is now Centerstone, one of the largest providers of mental health services in southern Indiana. So we went through a lot of classes, and I learned a lot there about the programs they offer, and you know, some of the and my phone keeps popping up things in front of my face I can't see, but I learned a lot about not only the budgeting process and where the dollars come from, but also the expansion or the decrease in certain services that's happened throughout Indiana over the last 30 years. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the programs, especially Stone Belt. I also had and housed the PALS program here at my property for 13 years. And so we were able to help that organization offer low-cost services for those in need of therapy and stuff. So just a long history of working with our community in these areas, and at a state level, I continue to be an advocate. Well, I would say with the situation we've been going through since mid-February with COVID, has really brought to life a lot of these services that were paid through Medicaid, that people were not able to go to their provider, and maybe they had to have someone come into their home as a provider to still extend those services. I can tell you that the state has been working really well. I hear from my citizens in my district who are clients that use those services, that they've really been over backwards and hired more professionals to fill these services away from the central location where they may have visited. As a legislator, I've always tried to advocate for more mental health services and more programs, and for the increased wages of those in that field. You know, it's not an easy profession. Sometimes, you know, maybe you're not a nurse, or maybe you're not a doctor, but you're really with these clients, these citizens of Indiana, sometimes daily on maybe 12-hour shifts or a few hours a day, but you really know them just like a family member. And it's not an easy job. So I've been an advocate to do that. And I'm hoping that at least with this COVID, the positives we will see out of it is that we should focus on mental health services and those with disabilities, no matter what the circumstances are. And I'm hoping that the rest of the General Assembly, there's 150 of them, and the governor will, and I know I'll hear this, that they know that's an important issue coming up, but they'll have to, more than likely, to increase they'll have to choose some places that they will either have to shift or make up some new revenue funds to fill those gaps. But I'm really in favor of increasing that. I'm just not saying that. You know, I've been around them, I've worked with them, and and I know some of the complications and you know, the risk and the hard job it is to do that. One of the issues is I don't sit on Ways and Means, so I've not dissected that portion of the budget. But I will say that I've always been an advocate for increasing not only their pay, but also the programs that's available. Workforce Development has hired a lot of extra client representatives to help through the process, through the portals, for those who maybe wanted to draw unemployment or to extend their unemployment benefits. But as a part of that money, there's also money set aside for retraining. And we've worked a lot with Cook Incorporated and Cook Group, because they're looking to try to establish a center here in Bloomington for those opportunities for those with disabilities to be able to funnel some of those state dollars to that program. You know, they've got a site up in Indianapolis that's been working tremendously, and that organization, you know, we've had meetings with Ivy Tech and also with the Cook Group and other stakeholders here locally. And I think that that is on the move. Now, since COVID, it's probably slowed it down, or it could have stopped it temporarily, but that is still in motion. And I'm hoping one of those centers will be here in Bloomington, where it gives them more opportunities and more opportunity to funnel those revenues down for those individuals who qualify but just can't get those funds yet and get hired. I think in any budget, the top priority is really taking care of your citizens and those with disabilities, those that may be able to go out and get a part-time or a full-time job, or those that can't work that still need to go through therapy. Those are the highest on my list. Those that can't fend 100% for themselves, because that's what we're here for. Is the state is to protect our citizens and make wise investments. One thing with COVID, Indiana over most states, at least all of them around us, you know, we had a $2 billion surplus, and we were, you know, talked about because, you know, that's the people's money, and why do you have that? Well, we had that surplus just for times like this. And if we had not had that surplus to fill in the gaps to Medicaid and workforce development and some school programs, we've sent extra monies to our educational K through 12s here in the last 3 months. That's one of the reasons we kept that, was just for predicaments like this. And I'm hoping that with the COVID again, it will emphasize that we've got a lot of making up to do, you might say, to shift some more money to mental health services and those with disabilities. And I'm willing to make that commitment to, you know, be a voice for those activities and expenses that you guys need.